Imagine being married to someone who secretly fantasizes about kidnapping, torturing, killing, and eating you and your friends. That was the horrifying reality for Kathleen Mangan Valle, who discovered that her husband, Gilberto Valle, a New York City police officer, had been using the internet to plot his gruesome crimes. Valle, who became known as the Cannibal Cop, was arrested in 2012 after his wife found disturbing files on his computer. She saw graphic images of women being cooked and eaten, as well as chat logs where Valle discussed his plans with other online users. He also had a list of potential victims, including his wife and her friends, along with their photos, addresses, and personal information. Valle claimed that he was only indulging in his dark fantasies and that he never intended to act on them. He said he was part of a subculture of people who shared similar interests and that he was role-playing with them. He argued that he had a right to free speech and that his online activities were harmless. However, the prosecution argued that Valle had crossed the line from fantasy to reality. They presented evidence that Valle had used police databases to look up information on his targets, that he had surveilled some of them in person, and that he had contacted potential accomplices to help him carry out his plans. They said that Valle was a dangerous predator who posed a serious threat to society. The case went to trial in 2013 and captured the attention of the media and the public. It raised questions about the boundaries between fantasy and reality, between free speech and criminal intent, and between privacy and security. It also exposed the dark side of the internet, where people can find others who share their most twisted desires. The jury deliberated for 2 days and found Valle guilty of conspiracy to kidnap and accessing a computer without authorization. He faced life in prison for the conspiracy charge and up to 5 years for the computer charge. However, in 2014, a federal judge overturned Valle's conviction on the conspiracy charge, ruling that there was insufficient evidence to prove that Valle had a genuine intention to kidnap anyone. The judge said that Valle's online chats were no more real than an unrealized desire for sex. He also said that Valle's fantasies were sick and disturbing, but not illegal. Valle remained convicted of the computer charge and was sentenced to time served plus 1 year of supervised release. He was also ordered to undergo mental health counseling and to stay away from his wife and her friends. Valle appealed his computer conviction, but it was upheld by an appeals court in 2015. He was released from prison in 2014 and has since written a book about his case. He has also appeared on several TV shows and podcasts to tell his side of the story. He maintains that he is innocent of any wrongdoing and that he is not a cannibal. He says he regrets hurting his wife and family, but he does not regret having his fantasies. He says he still has them, but he keeps them to himself. He says he hopes to find love again someday, but he admits that it will be hard to find someone who will accept him for who he is.